Testing. Test 1, 2. Okay, everyone, let's start the what if. What if Yamcha let the kaioken? Part 4. Since we last left off, Yamcha was able to get Tien to Bulma safely, and she put him on life support immediately after arrival. And right now, Bulma was brainstorming with Yamcha on what exactly they should do about their current situation. Eventually, the issues of the Dragon Balls came up, with Piccolo being dead and all. And Bulma proposed an idea. Bulma said, "What about the Namekian Dragon Balls? Surely we could call on them for help?" But Yamcha responded, "Yeah, but how are we supposed to find them? They're on an entirely new planet, you know." Chaozu, who was being quiet for this entire time, spoke up. "I could ask King Kai?" Yamcha turned to Chaozu, rather surprised. You can?" Chaozu nodded. He told them that King Kai had taught them how to communicate telepathically like he does. Yamcha sighed with relief before telling Chaozu to contact King Kai immediately. Chaozu, after a bit of struggle, was able to ask King Kai where Namek was exactly. And King Kai, after a few minutes of searching, said, "Oh, I found it. It's much farther from Earth than before. About a 10 years journey with your spaceship." Bulma, with her hand on Chaozu's back, said, "Well, where is it?" King Kai told Bulma where the star system it was, and Bulma searched for it in her father's observatory. After finding it and writing down the coordinates, Bulma jumped up and immediately ran outside to find her ship that Vegeta had conveniently returned in. "Okay, I think I can fuel this up and have it ready by the end of the day," Yamcha asked. "Shouldn't we wait for Tien to wake up?" "It could be weeks or even months for Tien to fully recover. And in that time, if the androids find us, they could destroy the spaceship and leave us stranded here. Do you know how long it would take for me to build a new one? Moving Tien around is one thing, but moving this thing around is another. It's not exactly made to fly around the planet, you know." Yamcha turned to Chaozu. "Well, can't you heal him, like you did before?" Chaozu answered nervously. Well, I could try, but I'm not a master. I just don't feel like I can heal Tien more than I have. His injuries are just so severe. The body is a complicated thing, you know." Yamcha looked up to the ship. "Well, I don't really feel too comfortable leaving Bulma here unprotected." The truth is, Yamcha just didn't feel like going on a 10-year journey completely alone. However, Bulma snapped back at Yamcha. "I can take care of myself, thank you. Besides, what are you really gonna do? If the androids are right here, dead set on killing me, how would you stop them? Or, don't tell me, you already forgot how your last battle went." Yamcha did not have a response to this. Bulma simply sighed and told Yamcha she would have the ship ready by the end of the day and to prepare. Yamcha tried to think of something to say, but just left quietly. While working on the ship, Bulma was talking with Chaozu and having Chaozu tell everyone they could think about of the impending threat using his telepathy. While Yamcha was sitting outside, Por had come to talk to him. "Hey Yamcha, I heard you were going off. Maybe I could come with you? Just the two of us, like the good old days." Yamcha looked over at Por. "You know what, buddy? That does sound like a good idea. Sure, just go tell Bulma you'll be traveling with me, okay? I don't want to run out of food." Yamcha then got up and went inside to take a nice shower. He needed one after the scuffle with the androids. When the sun started to set, Yamcha went outside and asked if the ship was ready. Bulma nodded. And she opened the door to give him a small tour and explain how the controls worked on a basic level. However, as Yamcha was about to close the door, he looked at Bulma, and took off his shirt and the scaled shirt underneath that, and then threw it to her. Make sure to wear that if the androids ever come to attack, okay? It saved my life, so maybe it'll save yours as well." Yamcha then closed the door and pressed the button to launch it into space. Yamcha soars to the stars and contemplates how long the journey is ahead of them. Yamcha reached for the gravity controls to take his mind off things, but pulls away as he remembers. "Oh right, I can't use this." Por says, "Sorry, I didn't want to be a burden on your training, Yamcha." Yamcha laughed this off, and patted Por on the back before deciding to simply work out as normal, with his weights on, of course. Yamcha actually felt oddly at home. Nothing but them in a vast field of nothingness. Nostalgic. But a month or so into their journey, while Yamcha and Por were sleeping, a giant ship loomed close to theirs. On board the ship, the leader pressed a few buttons on a hologram model. "Give me the power levels of those inside this ship," his subordinate said. "Sir, one has a power level of 2, and the other has a power level of 1.8 million. I've never seen someone with a power level so high, save you and Frieza. The leader smirked and said, Is that right? Well, pull them into the ship if you would. I want to meet this person face to face. After all, I'm sure someone with a power level like that is bound to be interesting. Suddenly, Yamcha was jolted awake by the feeling of his ship being shaken and pulled. After he got out of bed and walked to the window, he saw that outside was a hangar room with a ship attached to his own. Who? What? Yamcha just muttered to himself confusedly as he was still partly asleep. Then, right after he walked outside, a tall person got out of his own ship and walked over to Yamcha. He acted a bit smug, but was a little nervous around Yamcha. Yamcha simply asked, What's the big deal, huh? Don't tell me you just wanted to mess with me. The man simply scoffed and said he was only an escort of sorts to bring him to the leader of their ship, as he wanted to see him. It was at this moment that Puar came outside rubbing her eyes. Yamcha, what's going on? Nothing you need to worry about, buddy. I got this under control. Anyway, you said you're an escort, right? Well, can we get this over with, please? Puar decided to follow Yamcha, not feeling quite at ease just up and going back to sleep while they were in someone else's ship. Yamcha walked alongside the escort to the main command room. When he got there, in a chair, someone sat overlooking the stars. Without turning around, he asked, Could I have your name? Yamcha said, It's Yamcha, and you'd better have a good reason for waking me up. The man in the chair tapped his foot on the floor repeatedly a bit before spinning around to face Yamcha. Glad you asked. I was just about to get to that. Yamcha's face turned to one of shock as he started, Goku? The man simply raised an eyebrow. Oh, I remind you of someone, do I? Well, we can get to that point later. I'm Turles, leader of the Crusher Corps. Yamcha was shocked at how closely this man resembled Goku. It was as if he was some kind of clone, but Yamcha regained his composure and asked Turles what exactly he wanted. Turles smirked, and after pressing a few buttons, pulled up an image of Yamcha's spaceship. After coming into this section of the galaxy about 4 days ago, give or take, our star map showed a new planet that we had never seen before. It was not recorded anywhere on our ship's database. It was a place with 3 suns. It's rare to see a planet with 3 suns, and stranger yet, it appeared as if by magic. Now, try to imagine my surprise when I find a lone ship with 2 passengers, heading in the exact same direction we were. One of the passengers even has an enormous power level. Needless to say, I was curious. Yamcha was a little mad he had just gotten woken up out of some random dude's curiosity, but he felt something in Turles. A power so deep it surpassed that of even Goku's, and this made him suppress his rage a bit. Yes, that's right. In this timeline, instead of going to Earth, Turles simply took advantage of the power vacuum that occurred after Frieza's death, taking each of his controlled planets for his own use, now that they were basically unguarded, growing several trees and eating dozens of fruits of varying quality. At this point, his power would make even Final Form Frieza look like mere child's play. However, he had also kept the majority of the fruit to himself, so his crew was not nearly as strong. Yamcha, withholding some of his anger, asked, So, what now? What happens next? Well, that is up to you. I could make great use of someone with your power. Of course, if you decide to join us, your companion is allowed to come along. However, refuse, and I can't just have someone going to this strange new planet with me while being a potential enemy and threat, especially someone of your power level. So I'll just have to. Turles presses some buttons on the side of his scouter, and the hologram of Yamcha's spaceship blows up. Puar jumps at this, but Yamcha immediately starts looking around, trying to size up the situation a bit better, to see if he could beat these guys. I could probably take on everyone else here, but this guy's different. Turles then asks, Come now, what do you say? Will you serve unto me? Or would you rather I toss you into the void of space? Yamcha decided to ask what exactly it is they do before deciding on his next move. Turles nods. Of course, a valid question. I'm sure this will entice you. Turles then turns the hologram into a picture of a red fruit. This is what we are banded together for. Fruit from the grand tree of might. We simply find viable planets and plant the seed of said tree into the soil of air, and then reap the rewards. Yamcha was curious and asked, why exactly go through trouble for just a bunch of fruit? Turles was shocked. You mean you don't know? The fruit from the Tree of Might is grand! It's amazing! It can make one's powers explode tenfold, if not greater. Not only that, but its extract can even revive the dead. Yamcha was stunned and had to ask if it could revive the dead no matter how they died. Turles was confused at the question, but answered with a simple yes. Yamcha, not knowing exactly what the tree did to the planet it was planted in, said, if you can promise me a fruit, then I'll be happy to join you. Turles said, excellent. Now then, off to this planet we go, right boys? Rasin, Lakasei, fire up the engine. Yamcha asked, so how long will it take to get there? Turles said, Rasin and Lakasei are both geniuses from a previously extinct race that I revived. They are the ones who built this ship. Thanks to them, it should only take around 2 years. And that's ignoring any improvements they might make along the way, of course. Yamcha thought about how lucky it was that he came across the Crusher Core, seeing as the fruit extract could revive Goku, who couldn't be revived by any Dragon Balls they had access to. After all, the Namekian Dragon Balls can't revive someone who died naturally, and he had already been revived by Earth's Dragon Balls. Turles then turned to Daiz. Daiz, show Yamcha his new living quarters, and equip him with his new gear, if you would. Daiz nodded. Right away, sir. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Tien was slowly recovering from his injuries. Bulma had actually been forced to relocate since the androids were destroying West City. As the months slowly passed, Tien woke up in an underground science lab. Apparently, a generation of Bulma's family had actually been doomsday preppers. What luck. Tien asked what had happened as he slowly tried to sit up before falling back on the bed in pain. Bulma scolded him for trying to move so soon after waking up and told him that he had been out for about 3 months. Tien asked where everyone else was, and Bulma brought him up to speed. Tien asked, well, where's Chaozu? I didn't hear you mention him. Bulma was surprised, and just simply pointed to the bottom of his bed. Chaozu was sitting in a chair, resting his head on Tien's leg. Tien said, strange, I didn't even feel him. Over time, Yamcha grew close to everyone on the ship. Not necessarily buddy-buddy, but he learned a lot about them. Their dreams, their hopes, their aspirations, and they actually started talking with Yamcha on a more casual level. That being said, Yamcha never trusted them completely. The reason for that is a combination of how they treated Puar when he was not around, and the hint of evil energy he was just barely able to feel. He was not able to sense evil energy like Piccolo or Kami could, but he could feel something. He never told them about the Dragon Balls or about sensing energy. And Yamcha never figured out what the Tree of Might truly did to the planets it was on, as no one really talked about it all that much. It was just something that happened for them. Then, after the 2 years had finally passed, Yamcha and Puar finally made it to New Namek, their giant ship covering the good portion of a small island. As they opened the doors, Turles remarked on how dull the planet was on the surface. Amond then readied the tree for planting, creating a large crevice in the crust with his key. He tossed a small, unassuming seed into it. Yamcha asked, so how long will it take? Amond said, it depends on the planet slightly, but on average it takes about a day for the tree to grow. And bear fruit, of course. Yamcha nodded. I'm going to go scout around, see if I can find anything interesting. Puar came flying out of the ship. Good idea, Yamcha, and I'll come with you. Yamcha nodded to Puar, and they both flew off in search of the Dragon Balls. With that being said, I think it's about time to end this video. So, goodbye everyone, and good luck with tomorrow and every day after.